Aspirin, one of the most studied drugs in history. It's a pain reliever and anti-inflammatory that works by cutting off the messages your body sends to trigger pain and fever. And it's been a medicine cabinet staple for over a century. Your body produces chemicals called prostaglandins. They're what tell your brain you're in pain and push your temperature up when you're sick. Aspirin blocks the enzyme needed to make prostaglandins. Fewer prostaglandins, less pain, lower fever. That same enzyme is blocked in your blood too, which affects your platelets, the cells that clot your blood. One aspirin thins your blood for 10 days. Not a side effect in big letters on the bottle, but it's why doctors prescribe it after heart attacks, and exactly why you shouldn't double up before surgery. Tylenol. It's the go-to pain reliever for people who can't take anti-inflammatories, working directly on the brain's pain and temperature signals rather than targeting inflammation at the source. It doesn't touch your joints or reduce swelling. It travels to your brain and interrupts the signal telling you something hurts. That's the whole job. If your stomach can't handle aspirin or ibuprofen, Tylenol is the answer. Won't irritate your gut lining, won't thin your blood. For headaches, fevers, and general aches, it works cleanly and quietly. Often looked over, acetaminophen, Tylenol's active ingredient, is processed entirely by your liver. Take too much, and the threshold is lower than most people assume, and you're not dealing with a stomachache, you're dealing with liver damage. The #1 cause of acute liver failure in the US isn't alcohol, it's acetaminophen overdose. Most cases are accidental, people doubling up on cold medicine not realizing it already contains the same ingredient. Allegra, a non-drowsy antihistamine built to shut down allergy symptoms without slowing your brain down, at least on paper. When your immune system overreacts, it releases histamine, the chemical behind sneezing, itching, and watery eyes. Allegra blocks the receptors histamine binds to. No binding, no reaction. Symptoms drop without the sedation older antihistamines caused. That non-drowsy label comes from one thing. It barely crosses into your brain. It stays mostly in the body. That's what keeps you alert. But that separation comes with a trade-off. Allegra is one of the weakest second-generation antihistamines. It handles mild allergies cleanly. Push into heavier exposure, strong pollen, pet dander, and it starts under-delivering without you realizing it. And there's a detail almost no one catches. Fruit juice, grapefruit, orange, even apple, can cut its absorption significantly. Same dose but less drug reaches your system. Aleve. It belongs to the same class of drugs as ibuprofen, but it's built for slower, longer release. A single dose can keep pain at bay for up to 12 hours. Same family as ibuprofen and aspirin. Blocks COX enzymes, cuts prostaglandin production, brings down pain, fever, and swelling. The difference is duration. Where ibuprofen clears in 4 to 6 hours, naproxen, Aleve's active ingredient, lingers. 1 pill in the morning, 1 at night. That's the appeal. Built for chronic pain. Arthritis. Back pain that doesn't quit. Injuries needing days of consistent coverage. But longer in your system means longer exposure to the risks. Naproxen hits the stomach 2 to 4 times harder than ibuprofen. Extended use raises your risk of ulcers and gastrointestinal bleeding. Sustained pressure on your kidneys too. Fine for occasional use. A real problem if you're treating it like a daily vitamin, which, based on how freely it's sold, a surprising number of people do. Zyrtec. Faster acting than most of its competitors, this antihistamine blocks histamine receptors to quiet sneezing, itching, and runny eyes, though it comes with a trade-off. People reach for it expecting a cleaner, stronger Allegra, and up front, it delivers. Hits faster, works harder. For allergies that laugh at other antihistamines, Zyrtec is usually what finally quiets them down. What most people don't realize is that it partially crosses the blood-brain barrier. Not enough to floor you like Benadryl. Enough to make you slower, foggier, and more fatigued than a non-drowsy label should legally allow. The part nobody reads about. Stop taking it after extended use and your body rebounds, producing more histamine than it ever did before. Itching, hives, symptoms worse than your original allergies. Your immune system essentially throws a tantrum when the drug leaves, not listed prominently anywhere. Ibuprofen, the generic powering Advil and Motrin, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory that kills pain, fever, and swelling by blocking your body's prostaglandins. Same mechanism as aspirin, cuts off prostaglandin production at the source. Pain drops, fever breaks, swelling pulls back. Kicks in around 30 minutes, gone in 4 to 6 hours, clean and predictable. It's the most reached for drug in the pain relief aisle. Headache, sore muscles, cramps, tooth pain. Handles all of it without touching your clotting system the way aspirin does. But it's not as neutral as it feels. Ibuprofen restricts blood flow to your kidneys every time you take it. Occasional use? Fine. Daily use? Your kidneys are working harder than they should. It also erodes the protective lining of your stomach over time. That's how you get ulcers, not from one dose. from the habit of reaching for it like it costs nothing. Because at the drugstore, it basically does. Benadryl, one of the oldest antihistamines still on shelves, it blocks histamine receptors throughout the entire body, including the brain. Most people think of it as the heavy-duty allergy option, the one you pull out when nothing else works, or the one parents gave kids on long flights. It works fast and it works hard. Nobody debates that. What it's actually doing is crossing the blood-brain barrier completely and blocking acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter your brain uses for memory, attention, and basic cognitive function. The drowsiness isn't a side effect, it's the drug interfering directly with how your brain communicates. Occasional use is one thing, but research now links repeated Benadryl use to accelerated cognitive decline in older adults. Some studies connect long-term anticholinergic use to increase dementia risk. It's still sold in the kids' aisle, still marketed as a sleep aid, still one of the most casually consumed drugs in the country, for something doing that much inside your brain. Sudafed. Behind the pharmacy counter for a reason, this decongestant doesn't target histamine at all. It works by constricting blood vessels in the nasal lining to drain congestion fast. Most people treat it like a stronger allergy pill. It's not. It doesn't touch histamine. What it does is mimic adrenaline, forcing the blood vessels in your nasal passages to tighten so swollen tissue shrinks and air moves through again. Fast and effective in a way antihistamines can't match for pure congestion. The problem is it doesn't stay in your nose. Pseudoephedrine, Sudafed's active ingredient, constricts blood vessels everywhere. Your heart rate climbs, your blood pressure rises. For healthy adults, manageable. For anyone with hypertension or a heart condition, it's a real cardiovascular event waiting to happen. It's also the raw ingredient used to manufacture methamphetamine, which is why you show ID to buy it. The decongestant that actually works is literally kept behind lock and key. Claritin, a second-generation antihistamine that relieves allergy symptoms with one of the lowest sedation profiles of any option on the market. Most people treat it as the safe, reliable daily driver. Take it every morning, allergies stay manageable, no drowsiness. That reputation is mostly earned. Claritin stays out of the brain better than Zyrtec, which is exactly why it became the default doctor recommendation for daytime allergy relief. What people miss is that staying gentle comes at a cost. Claritin is the weakest of the second-generation antihistamines. For mild seasonal allergies, it does the job. For anything heavier, pet dander, year-round symptoms, strong pollen seasons, it often underwhelms quietly. People assume their allergies are just bad. The drug is doing less than they think. Long-term daily use also raises an underreported issue. Consistent histamine suppression can blunt your immune system's ability to regulate itself. Not dramatic, not immediate, but your body's allergic threshold shifts the longer you stay on it. Nasal spray. Not all nasal sprays work the same way. Some constrict blood vessels, some block inflammatory signals, and some do both. Most people grab whichever box looks most medical and assume nasal spray is nasal spray. It isn't. Decongestant sprays like Afrin shrink blood vessels in the nasal lining for immediate relief. Steroid sprays like Flonase dampen the immune response, driving the inflammation in the first place. The hidden mechanic is rebound congestion. Decongestant sprays work so well that your nasal tissue adapts. Use beyond 3 days and your blood vessels stop responding normally without it. The congestion that returns is worse than what you started with. That's not discomfort. That's dependence. Steroid sprays don't carry that risk, but they take days to build before you feel anything. The spray that works instantly traps you. The one that actually fixes the problem requires patience most people don't have. Robitussin. Few over-the-counter drugs have as many variations as this one. Depending on the formula, it either suppresses the reflex driving the cough or loosens the mucus triggering it. You've got a cough that won't stop. You grab Robitussin, take a dose, and within an hour it's quieter. Feels like it's working. But what it's doing depends entirely on the label. One version shuts the cough off at the brain level. Dextromethorphan hits your brainstem and turns down the signal telling you to cough. The urge disappears, even if the mucus causing it is still sitting in your chest. The other version does the opposite. Guaifenesin thins that mucus so your body can actually clear it. Same brand, completely different job. Take too much or stack it with other meds and it stops acting like medicine. Dextromethorphan at high doses produces dissociative, hallucinogenic effects, rapid heart rate, dangerous temperature spikes, all from something sitting in the cough aisle. Tums, a calcium carbonate tablet that works by directly neutralizing the acid in your stomach. Most people think of it as harmless. Chew a couple after a heavy meal, acid goes away, problem solved. And for occasional heartburn, that's basically true. It works fast because it's a simple chemical reaction. Calcium carbonate meets stomach acid and neutralizes it on contact. What your body does next is the part nobody thinks about. When stomach acid drops too low, your body compensates by producing more of it. Use Tums regularly and you trigger a rebound acid cycle. The same pattern as nasal spray dependence, just in your stomach. More acid than you started with. More Tums to fix it. There's also the calcium load. Each tablet delivers a concentrated hit of calcium directly into your system. Chronic use builds calcium levels in your blood and kidneys over time. Kidney stones, calcification, not from occasional use, from treating a roll of Tums like after-dinner mints, which given the flavors they come in isn't exactly a stretch. Pepto-Bismol, a digestive drug in a class of its own, using bismuth subsalicylate to calm nausea, heartburn, and diarrhea through a mechanism no other over-the-counter stomach remedy shares. Most people see it as the catch-all stomach fix. Upset stomach, diarrhea, nausea, pink bottle, problem handled. What it's actually doing is coating the stomach lining, reducing inflammation, and directly killing the bacteria, triggering the irritation. 3 mechanisms in one dose. That's why it works across so many different symptoms. Bismuth subsalicylate is in the same chemical family as aspirin. That matters. If you're allergic to aspirin, Pepto isn't the safe alternative it appears to be. It also thins your blood, mildly but measurably, the same way aspirin does. The one nobody sees coming. Bismuth turns your tongue and stool black, not a sign of internal bleeding, not a reason to panic, just bismuth doing what bismuth does. Still alarming at 2 in the morning when you weren't warned. The bottle mentions it, quietly, near the bottom. You've probably taken most of these without thinking twice. But every drug on this list does its job. And now you know exactly what else came with it. Which one are you rethinking? Drop it in the comments and check out the next video.